Okay, welcome to the program. Tonight, the mad ideas of Tākuta Ferris that would surely sink New Zealand. Be warned, if this ever makes it into law, there'll be civil war because it would turn us into something similar to apartheid South Africa. And the warning to Labour from the wife of Māori Party co-leader Arawiri Waititi.
But you're doing that for the sake of peace and the peace of the rules and the rules that have been crafted by colonisers.
Heavens, those eyes are on stalks, aren't they? Let's go.
Are we paying these people to front up, or are we paying them to fly to Wellington to eat their lunch? Should you really lose your career for refusing to take part in a 90-minute lesson about Māori culture? This government doesn't actually have any idea how to get economic growth. Show us what you made of, Prime Minister.
Editor-in-Chief with Duncan, Garner.
Okay, you're with the Editor-in-Chief. Welcome, evening, everybody. I'm Duncan, Garner, and please subscribe and welcome to the program. Just hit the button there and subscribe. Most helpful. Tonight, what does Te Pāti Māori really want to achieve apart from shouting at us that we are racist colonisers? Well, now we know. Finally, they have actually drafted a law, and finally they've realised, this is the place where laws are made. This is where the hard work's done. Crafting bills and seeking support to pass those ideas into law. Happens in Parliament. Yes, that's right. Okay, so they've done this. I know it's a strange place, isn't it? That's where you draft law, you know. Just when they thought it was a place to perform haka and play up for TikTok, Tākuta Ferris shows us how he would actually enact policy and what his ideas actually are. That effectively is a way of getting the most radical ideas to become law by circumventing the democratic process and using the back door to introduce Te Pāti Māori's nutty agenda. Also tonight, Dave Letele in Men's Health Week, diabetes and obesity. We'll look into that. Let's go.
It's the Slam Dunk.
Okay, you would have heard or seen me talk about Tākuta Ferris, the loud, spiteful, hate-filled enemy of the state. He denounces colonisation. He attacks Pākehā at every opportunity. And he's one of this new wave of gum-chewing, swaggering Te Pāti Māori MPs that appear in a hurry to collapse New Zealand as we know it. As taxpayers, we pay him about $180,000 a year to be in Parliament. He doesn't want to recognise, doesn't want to respect the place, yet we pay him all that money. Yet so far he's taken every cent and every perk and entitlement on offer. Yet he disses the place. It's his new private members bill that I want to tell you about. This is from Tākuta Ferris. It's deeply concerning, and I'll explain more shortly, but it's all part of their refusal to accept that they're just a small pipsqueak in Parliament without the necessary votes to push through their separatist and dangerous radical agenda to sink New Zealand. They are aggressive in their approach, hostile and threatening in their language, and they make it clear that they're not here to compromise, negotiate or lose. They hold open contempt for this Parliament and our democracy. And from where I sit, and I was in Parliament and covered Tariana Turia's exit from Labour over the foreshore and seabed, and I was there when she formed the original Māori Party and when she was invited into John Key's coalition. And this new version of Te Pāti Māori is wholly unrecognisable to the party that Tariana Turia formed by bravely leaving Labour and setting it up. And Ferris makes it clear that he's not here to make friends and be liked. He hates the impact of colonisation. He can't find the good in anything that isn't Māori, and he holds open contempt for Parliament and its processes, and his disrespectful approach at times will have your eyes on stalks and muttering "fuckwit" under your breath. You need supreme confidence to consistently act as a world-class wanker on a daily basis, but Ferris pulls it off daily. And now he has finally done some work to advance his radical separatist agenda rather than just jawbone and flap his gums in Parliament. And you see, what irritates Ferris and his bother boy mates is that he will never have enough support or votes in this Parliament to introduce his crazy ideas. And that seriously does their heads in. These ideas held by Te Pāti Māori are not even wholeheartedly supported by all Māori people. And if Labour entertained them, it would be the end of them, surely as a mainstream party in New Zealand. So his private members bill, this is what he's done. It's aimed at giving the Waitangi Tribunal the power to bypass the permanent roadblocks in Parliament, and for the first time to make its radical findings binding on any government. So they would make a report, the findings would then be handed to the government, and they'd be binding. It's simply outrageous. There have been so many flaky, mad radicals appointed to the tribunal over the past 20 years that no one in either Labour or National has ever been stupid enough to fully accept their findings, because you don't have to, and their recommendations, you don't have to. It's become an activist protest movement in itself, and it needs to be reined in. But Ferris wants to give the tribunal all power to effectively make a report, take some findings, and that would then become law in New Zealand. He wants to give the Waitangi Tribunal binding powers to force governments to act on the views of the few and to override the majority who, since 1975, have had the numbers to dismiss the tribunal's reports and take from them what they wish. But imagine giving the tribunal the ultimate powers to effectively write policy that the government must adhere to. It's like giving Māori an upper house where unelected radicals on the tribunal could then force the government of the day to follow and implement their ideas. It's madness. It would sink New Zealand. It would destroy us, and it would Fast take us down the South African apartheid route. The majority would be ignored and neglected, and the few Māori from the 17% of the Māori population here in New Zealand would rule without question. Their racist, mad approach would be forcibly introduced against the will of the government and the people, and if it didn't bankrupt us first, it would divide us, and if we didn't bail for Australia, we'd stay home to fight in a pending civil war. It would mean perhaps up to 5% of New Zealand would have unbridled, unelected, unfettered access to make change and power. No one could do anything about it. Ferris's bill is a roundabout way of bypassing Parliament because they know they are unlikely to ever get the support of enough people to push through anything radical, ever. It makes them in Parliament right now all mouth and no trousers. But this bill is a backroom way of saying, or backdoor way of saying, we can get our brand of nuttiness through over here. It's surely going to be voted down when it gets pulled. That's how this lot thinks, and that's how dangerous they are. Nationals should shout from the rooftops about this bill and what it would mean if it ever got enough support to pass. If it ever got enough support to pass, it should shout that it's madness. Blah, 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 jog on, Ferris, because unless you can demand a majority on the floor of Parliament, you are Labour's little plaything, and they hate it. Big voice, plenty of aggro, but as yet all talk and threats and no real way to introduce their radical, racist, Marxist loopiness on this country. But they're closer than ever before because the radicals have made it into Parliament, you see, under the guise of standing for Te Pāti Māori. Before they are the front gate, effing and blinding, that sort of thing, but they hoodwinked voters to gate crash Parliament, and now we've seen their true colours. And not all Māori are on board with this agenda. But Labour is so desperate to govern that Chris Hipkins, stupidly, has refused to rule out this brand of hate, and he's keeping them as an option. That should hurt Labour, wouldn't it, in the next election? Surely. New Zealanders, when they look at this, will say, how can Hipkins remain a credibly mainstream option if they're going to keep Te Pāti Māori in the picture? They didn't agree with the 3-week suspension. Labour didn't agree with it. They wanted 1 day. They thought Te Ngāti Wapaka and Rawiri Waititi should be banned for a day, 24 hours. But Willie Jackson says, I'm just I'm just part of a rabble of right-wingers targeting Hipkins.
Hey, look, the reality is you and Mike Hoskins and Sean Plunkett and Duncan Garner, all the right-wingers, they're all going after Chippy. I got to remind you... No, hang on.
Okay, Willie, stay on topic, bro. Come on, mate. Jackson does say, however, that Te Pāti Māori should have apologised for their recent haka debacle, and they should have said sorry.
There's nothing wrong with saying sorry. We were within the system. I mean, I know that. I think I've upset them a little bit by saying apologise. But you're compromised when you come into Parliament, Jack. The day you get there, and when you go into the House, you have to swear allegiance to the Queen. All of them did that. It's a compromise place. You're not on the outside. You're not fighting all the time. You're not warring all the time. So you have to use the system at its best. And Te Pāti Māori have done that before, and they need to do it again. And I don't think they want to apologise, which is disappointing.
But in response to that, check this out. It's a wholly aggressive, and this is incredible. It's a wholly aggressive social media post from the wife of Māori Party co-leader Rawiri Waititi. She's also the daughter of Te Pāti Māori President John Tamahiri. Her name is Kiri Tamahiri Waititi, and she is angry, clearly, at the Labour Party.
I want to make specific reference to these speeches given by Adrian Durafe and my Uncle Willie Jackson from the Labour Party. And the thing that got my blood boiling the most was their speeches. When you have a Māori trying to get another Māori to apologise for just being Māori, what is that? What is that? It's horizontal enforcement, one. But you're doing that for the sake of peace and the peace of the rules and the rules that have been crafted by colonisers.
Now, you'd think Labour wouldn't want to be associated with such a hostile and aggressive kind of approach, which is more than likely to turn voters off big time. But Jackson says no. Labour needs to work with Te Pāti Māori to remove this government. Have a listen.
I think that we have to agree to learn. We have to agree to learn how to disagree. You know, we're going to have differences sometimes. You see, I don't want a war with the Māori Party, and I don't think we should be fighting or warring. The main problem here is the government. We have to get this government out. So we have to work together. Jobs, health, homes.
But increasingly, even Māori voters are now questioning the tactics of Te Pāti Māori. Yes, young activists feel inspired. The older, more conservative Māori voters are wondering, where does it all end and what progress can we ever make with such divisive and confronting tactics? Even Willie Jackson struggles to deny that.
Do people come up to you and complain about Te Pāti Māori?
In terms of Māori, you're talking about, or people?
Anyone.
Oh, look, there's a mix. There's a lot
There's
of
a mix.
There's a lot of support for them amongst our younger.
We know there's a lot of
crew.
support. My question was, do people come up and complain to you about
absolutely, in terms of some of our older crew, and it's not that they dislike or can't stand the Māori Party. They love the Māori Party. As I said in the house, there's aspects that I love. I love their passion. I love their emotions.
Right.
No, you don't, Willie. You're trying to rein them in. And you're deeply concerned because right now they're toxic and your fortunes are tied to theirs and theirs to yours. And you continue to entertain them as a future partner in government. I don't think New Zealanders will for a second consider voting for Labour under that scenario. That's your problem and that's your dilemma. It's easily solved by ruling them out in their current state, but you can't and won't. And deep down you believe in what they believe and what they're trying to achieve, just maybe not the way they're going about it. Labour needs to cut ties with Te Pāti Māori, but Hipkins is wimpy and weak, and too wimpy and weak to make the decision. That's why ultimately he's stuffed, and that's why Labour remains unelectable and unfit for office.
Editor-in-Chief with Duncan Garner.
Okay, so it's Men's Health Week, and we're diving into key topics that men don't talk about enough. Man, we're bad at this, aren't we? Mental health, lifestyle habits, sexual health, all that sort of thing. We can't offer medical advice, and the views shared today are those of our guest. If you've got personal health questions, please speak with your doctor or pharmacist, of course. And joining us today is BBM's Dave Letele, here to talk about diabetes and obesity. Dave, thanks for joining us, mate. Nice to see you.
Thanks for having me, brother.
You're very welcome. Hey, all the work you do in the community, what do you think some of the challenges that people face when they first learn that they're living with diabetes or obesity? What is it that challenges them initially?
I think a lot of it is, a lot of the times people don't even get tested because of the fear.
Yeah.
Some of them had a blood pressure so high that they're bordering on a stroke because they just don't go to the GPs. They present to the hospital when it's almost too late. And so that's why, what we're trying to do is, get them in early to, try and build a fence before the edge of the cliff, Yeah. And then when they are sort of diagnosed with it, a lot of the time it's shame, and they don't even tell their family about it.
Yeah.
So we just try and, work them through that.
What do you reckon the myths are, those common myths or misunderstandings that, people have about the conditions? Because you're right, they don't go to the doctor because they know the answer already. They know what's about to hit them. So what are the myths or misunderstandings you reckon people have about them?
I think if you look in the sort of general public, a lot of the times it's, I think the most common one we see is that they just, people say, just laziness. Sure, that's a part of it, but there's part of, the environment, where you're living, how rich or poor you are. All these things play a massive role. You're living in a deprived neighborhood. You're surrounded by bad choices. They're right at your fingertips.
Yeah.
Every single thing that's bad for you is right there. And if you're, you might be working a couple of jobs just to keep food on the table. You're always going to choose what's quick, affordable, and accessible, and in deprived areas, that's always nasty crap. You get that for your family, then you're not teaching your kids how to cook, and this is where we're at.
Yep.
That even our children don't know the basics of reading food labels. Then they're getting those crappy energy drinks and pies on the way to school. They just don't know any better.
Yeah.
And this is the cycle that's going round and round and round, right? That's why and from the couch, we're educating the whole family.
Yeah, because that's the thing, isn't it? In your experience, and you look at this, you look at those deprived areas. How do lifestyle factors like being able to move, being able to be get fitter, food habits? We talked about that, and stress. How do they show up in conversations about health when you're talking to these people? Because every box they tick, when you sit down with these guys.
Yeah, we keep it very. You've been part of BBM for a long time, Duncan. We keep it real. We talk about it. It's not just exercise. Health is not just exercise. People see us and think it's just boot camps, but we have a community kitchen where we educate. Just today over in back home, we took our West from the couch to the supermarket, how to shop healthy for while on a budget for your large family. All these basic things, and we don't sugarcoat it. If you want it, it's not easy, easy part is sitting on the couch eating and drinking crap. That's easy.
Yeah.
The hard part is undoing a lifetime of bad habits, but it's worth it. And that's what we try. It's all up here, the mindset, trying to work through what's your why? Why do you have to do this? Why do you have to keep going?
And when you take people into the supermarket like today, it's news to them, and it's new to them that, maybe you stick to the outside of the supermarket where there's fresh food, where there's healthier food. And yes, sure, you've got to watch price, but you can show them for the first time where the good stuff is.
Yeah, and also, showing them cheaper cuts of meat, showing them how to buy within season, so that your veggies aren't as expensive. And a lot of the times, Duncan, a lot of the people we're working with, they haven't been to the supermarket in years. Lots of the people, there's one particular guy called Matthew. He turned up from the couch a couple of years ago on a walking frame, couldn't walk. He's now walking, helping to mentor out west. He could let you know exactly how many tiles were on his neighbour's roof and the patterns they were in, because he was stuck there for over a decade.
Yeah. That's remarkable. That is transformational, what you've done, isn't it? And it takes time, and it takes the person wanting to do it, and they've got to have a why, right? So his why is, I wanted to survive, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, you got to have a really. It's like with any addiction. If you want to overcome that, first the person has to want to overcome it. So many times it's a family member coming, and I always say it needs to be the person who needs to change.
Yeah,
that it needs to be that person to reach out to me, because unless if it's not that person, he won't or she won't want to change. She won't do what it takes.
Yeah,
they have to reach that rock bottom, like any addiction, to the point where I say, hey, this is it now. I have to go. And
you've seen a number of those people. How do people, do you find, talk about genetics or family history when it comes to their health journeys? Do they know about it? Do they talk about it? Do you try and get them to open up about it?
No, it's not a topic that they definitely don't talk about. Again, a lot of it's embarrassment and shame. And you think that a lot of these families, this is a generational thing. And also, if you look at stats, Māori Pacifica, we're overrepresented in every stat. I think Māori are twice as likely to get type 2 diabetes than non-Māori. So genetics do play a role in it. But again, the reason why we don't talk about it is because a lot of the times people will just slam back saying it's just an excuse.
Yeah.
But, like we always say, there is no excuse. It's a common thing, There's one guy that I think we're going to post about. We posted about earlier today, actually, a guy called Peel. He was on 10 types of medication. In 1 year, lost 100 kilos. Wow. No longer type 2 diabetic, and is off all of his meds. Now, imagine the savings just on him that we've given the system that as taxpayers.
Yeah, it does seem madness when, you've saved more than just a life there. You've saved a whole future of taxpayers' dollars going down that tube there and saving him. And you've reversed it. And a lot of people won't realise that you can reverse it with the right kind of support. What kind of support do you reckon people need the most when they're trying to make these long-term lifestyle changes? I know going to you is a one-stop shop. What is it that they need the most when they're making this change?
Well, they need belief that it's possible. You need a strong why, and look, it's quite basic if you look at what we do. So we wrap around people that are all on the same journey together. They all have that same purpose, where the destination they're heading. They're being led by people that have all been in their shoes. The lived experience part, they're being led by people that have lost enormous amounts of weight, but not just the weight. They've, some of them have overcome, suicidal thoughts, of all these different things, and we educate them how to eat properly, how to shop properly, how to read food labels, how to cook healthy on a budget. And then exercise is just a part of it. It's access to good healthy kai, access to housing, all these different things, education. That's health.
Yeah.
I guess it's, we operate on the Te Whare Tapawha health model or formal whale, all these things all these terms thrown at us that we didn't even know about it. We were just doing it. It's innate. It's in us.
Yeah. And to sustain those changes, you got to start right at the front there. When you sustainable housing, decent housing, not moving every 6 weeks and having housing that's, dry. And I know it sounds like a cliche, but it all starts with that firm base, that solid foundation, doesn't it? That would surely help them sustain their journey, having those basics.
Yeah, you've got to have the basics of life to live. We're helping people, I mean, even some, one of our staff members is constantly moving. You think about what that does to the children if you don't have a stable household. You're constantly working. If you're in Auckland and you've only got one person working in your family, good luck.
Yeah.
Most of the times if you do have a job, both parents are working. Sometimes one of them's multiple jobs. There's just not only a lot of our people struggling financially, poor, but we're also time poor. So
you're always racing around. How are they emotionally and psychologically?
I mean, we test. We run mental health surveys at the start and at the end of our From the Couch program. And even in our other programs that we run, like Mums and Bubs, and just the general boot camps and youth stuff that we do. Lots of the members are thinking of having suicidal thoughts daily.
Yeah,
daily. And that's why with our Massey University research that we had, I know you've seen it, Duncan, the Massey University research, the people at Massey couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe they've never seen the results that they've seen in this survey over 3 years of people all getting healthier, blood pressure, sugar levels, heart, everything, as well as getting happier.
Yeah. This when they start to lose weight and they start to feel better, they look at themselves in the mirror and they go, wow, I'm looking younger and I can move, and the clothes start to fall off you. And that's got to be the motivation in itself, doesn't it? I mean, when you get to that point, you probably don't need to motivate them because they will start to get into this zone of, I want more of this, so success breeds success,
100%, man. Once you can start looking at yourself in the mirror again, because I mean, we all know what that's like. We don't look at ourselves in the mirror.
Try not to.
When we're down in the dumps like that, physically and emotionally, mentally. When you start feeling your clothes feeling better, you start feeling better about yourself. You start liking the reflection again, and yes, it drives you to want to do more. Drives you to want to eat better, to get the bit by bit. So first of all, you just got to get the basics. People try and jump too far ahead and start eating like they have a living dietitianist, nutritionist, and eating chicken and broccoli every day and exercising 2-3 times a day. That's not maintainable.
Yeah.
Build a solid foundation. You'll start getting results. You'll start feeling better, and you'll want to naturally add more. But you got to have that solid foundation first.
You want to surround yourself with those sort of people too. So you want to surround yourself with people. Perhaps you're doing the same thing, because otherwise you might surround yourself with people still doing the other stuff. That's going to take you down. It's being around the good things, good people, good messages, right?
And that's not just with health. We try and, a lot of times people say, well, what about my family? I know you can't choose your family, but you can be the example for them.
Yeah.
And that's what we keep saying. You just got to keep pushing.
If and I know you're busy, and I'll make this my last question, Dave, but if someone wants to support a loved one that might be struggling, what are some helpful ways they can show up? And based on your experience and what you've seen and experienced, what can people do? What's the best thing they can do?
Man, it's super hard as a family member, like with any addiction. You can't be you can't be an ear basher to them, because they'll just you'll drive them more away.
Yeah.
But just try and, just try and lead by example and invite them. If you're going for a walk, if you're not walking, start walking. So you got to lead by example. You can't tell someone to do something if you're not doing it yourself.
Yeah.
So just start leading by example and just inviting them. Inviting them out to what you're doing, and don't make it too hard. Just make it like something where it doesn't seem like exercise, and just be supportive, but don't try and keep ramming it down their throat because you'll actually drive them away. You got to do it bit by bit.
Yeah, and I think that was your success, when we all signed up with you and looked at what you're doing. And you'd been on your journey, you'd lost all that weight, you got fitter and you changed your life. And so we went to there and we saw you doing it and we saw you becoming a different guy. And it was motivating for people. So that's the sort of people that people need to be around because it's infectious, and I think that's where the success is, right?
Yeah, man, you got it. Even now, we're around people that make us want to level up.
Yeah.
That make us want to push harder. And it's really, our 4 pillars, Duncan, it's never been the same, but it's all anchored with, first, no judgment. But, starting, staying consistent, being consistent, understanding nobody's perfect. You're going to fall down. You're going to fall off the wagon. That's life. You got to keep getting up. That's consistency. Third thing, being around good people. This journey's hard enough without being around people that drag you down all the time. And the last thing's no excuses.
Yeah.
That's all underpinned by having a very strong why and purpose. When I started, I had nothing, no money, no family, and I was just out walking. What kept me going was I'd envisioned my why was being at the airport and waiting for my children, waiting for my sons. I'd imagine the embrace when they ran through the arrival gate.
Yeah. That's
what I used to get me through. Anytime life was tough, I'd imagine that. And that's what you've got to do.
Yeah, and it's a remarkable embrace and a remarkable bounce back, Dave. I'm really proud of you. I really admire you, and that, and think that you deserve all the success that you've got, mate. It's been a great turnaround. Awesome chatting, man. I know you're a busy boy. I know you've got things to do, so I'll leave you there. But thanks, Dave. Appreciate it, mate.
Appreciate you, Duncan.
Editor-in-Chief with Duncan Garner.
Okay, Isaac, bring you in here. Time for Letters to the Editor. How are you, mate?
Yeah. No,
all good?
No, not too bad, bro. How are you?
Yeah, good. Dave, Dave does wonderful work, eh? Dave Letele. Amazing work.
Yeah, super inspiring, eh? And, he's obviously gone through the journey himself, so he knows what he's talking about. He knows how to support people. And so, what he's doing is great.
That guy returned from Australia at 220 kilos, and then got down to 120. Not with a stomach staple, but by boxing and doing fitness, and it was hard. His life was on the rocks. Lost his kids, lost everything. Yeah. Look at him now. So proud of him.
Yeah.
Done so well.
It's pretty cool,
isn't it though?
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%.
Letters, eh? We got something.
Yeah. Letters to the editor. This one today coming in from Jake. Emailed this one through, and it says, "Hi Duncan. In your recent episode, you stated that you think New Zealanders may like to have the equal rights debate, but the way it is recently presented was wrong. I'm wondering what you think the right process is. ACT campaigned openly and honestly on this policy, and people voted for them knowing it. The policy was introduced, and the aim was for all Kiwis to vote at referendum on a clear set of guiding principles we should all be held to. I struggle to see how this process could have been handled any better by ACT, though I do feel the media could have been more constructive in their conversation. Most people I know hadn't read or heard what the 3 principles were, yet they were outright opposed to them as a result of the media attacks. It seems to me the debate was started in a good faith way and promptly stomped down by the same type of people who want to fight and scream at anyone who challenges them. I'd be very intrigued to hear how this debate could have been handled better by those in favour. Kind regards, Jake."
Okay, so how could they have handled the treaty principles debate better is what you're asking, and I did say they could, and they could have by bringing Māori to the table. You can't have a debate, Jake, in New Zealand about our constitution and changing our constitution or changing the meaning of our constitution or trying to redefine it or define it without having a Māori leadership group at the table. You can't do this. First of all, ACT's the wrong party to be doing it because of their history, and there's no voice of iwi at the table. I just don't know how you can. And that's why it's the wrong process. That got their backs up, and that's when you saw the division and the hate and the hikoi. And you're right that people didn't read Seymour's bill, but Seymour's bill. I think there should be a debate about this. Absolutely, I think there should be a debate about where we're heading and what the principles of the treaty are, because it does. Currently, Māori have rights that Pākehā don't enjoy. Now, was that the intent of the treaty being signed, that Māori would have more rights than Pākehā? So I think there needs to be a debate about this, and I think Seymour's, even though he lost this debate, it's on the agenda. So he will get another chance at this, and the country probably should. But you can't do it without both sides at the table. It's as simple as that, because you get people's backs up. So that would be my response.
Editor-in-Chief with Duncan Garner.
That is us. Get in touch, of course, through our social media channels, Duncan Garner Podcast on TikTok and Instagram, or flick us an email at duncan@rover.nz. Good to have you coming today. Thank you for joining us. And to my team, Isaac, thank you, brother. Did I give the right answer there? I gave an answer.
I thought it was a highly educated and constructive answer. Well done.
Isn't he good? He's staying on. He's good. He's just got another 10-year contract. Okay, guys, remember, life isn't a dress rehearsal. There's no curtain raiser. This is it. We live in one of the best places, of course, on earth. So get out and enjoy it. Have a great rest of the evening and take care, New Zealand. Ta-da.
Editor-in-Chief with Duncan Garner.